Good morning and welcome to 3 Minutes on Markets and Money. I'm your host, Lance Roberts. It's Repeat Monday. Last Monday, Pfizer announced that they had a drug that was 90% effective in terms of a vaccine, and the markets went crazy with the Dow surging over 500 points at the open, wound up selling off most of the day. But that really kind of set the markets up for this idea of a value rotation last week. Well, today, Moderna has now announced a drug that is 94.5% effective. Take that, Pfizer! And markets are now set to surge this morning, up over 500 points once again. The problem here is really twofold. One is that, hey, vaccine news is good news. No doubt about that. But the problem with the vaccine is that it's not going to be widely available until the earliest late next year in 2021. And in the meantime, we've got to deal with a lot of the economic impact in the short term as we continue to deal with the virus as we move forward. But at the same time here that this is occurring, the economy is remaining weak because we don't have a vaccine today, and is going to remain weak here over the next few months. And even when we do get a vaccine in place, it will take months to inoculate enough people with the vaccine to encourage people to get out into the economy freely, moving around, and being confident about participating within the overall economy and economic activity. In the short term, though, markets are already extremely overbought. Whatever value that you were going to get from the recent correction because of the vaccine is now likely already priced in on multiple fronts, with the market already back to very overbought conditions on most levels. And this is not surprising. We've seen a lot of run here in the markets recently, and that overbought condition is now setting markets up for at least a short-term correction just because of normal extensions in the markets. Without a vaccine readily available today, and the fact that it will take a long time to get a vaccine widely available into the markets, the economic recovery is going to be weaker than expected here for a while, particularly since we've pulled forward a lot of the future consumption because of the previous stimulus packages. But importantly, this idea of a value trade rotation is likely very, very early in its making and likely will not last all that long because a lot of these companies, are not really all of a value. If we take a look at the number of companies with negative equity, that really is a big chunk. About 95% of the companies in the S&P 500 have negative equity to some degree. And more importantly, what financials need, particularly as well, is they need higher interest rates. The problem with higher interest rates is you slow economic activity. The Fed can't hike interest rates here, so that's going to impact earnings going forward for financials. Energy, materials, and industrials, those depend upon more economic activity. People getting out, driving, building buildings, building roads, building bridges, things that require inputs of commodities and labor, and we don't have the real type of environment to really boost those companies long term, particularly now that we'll be growing at somewhere south of 2%. Capital expenditures for companies has been dropping for years, and even with a recovery coming with a vaccine, the recovery in the economy will likely be at a lower rate than it was even prior to the pandemic. So the problem with the vaccine is it doesn't cure the economic problems, which are driven by debts and deficits. We now have tremendously more debts, higher deficits than ever before in history, which are going to drag on economic growth. And that's something in particular that the vaccine will not cure. That's going to be the problem for the markets longer term. We have a conversation on this today on our website talking about the market cap to GDP indicator and why that's really the most important thing investors should be looking at right now. It's on our website now, realinvestmentadvice.com. We'll see you tomorrow.